All right. So I believe we're live in the right place at the right time. Just wait and see until I see that we are live. Right now, guys, we're live both on Facebook and YouTube. So welcome in everybody from both places. I'm Kimberly Sminky of Lolly Doodle Studios, Widow on Fire. And I still do not see the notification sent out yet on Facebook. And I still do not see the notification. Let's get rid of that so I can at least see some of you coming on. So we're going to have fun tonight. At least it's my idea of fun. May not be your idea of fun, but if you're here, chances are, you're a creative and you like to do creative things as well. So let me just see if I can get the lighting situation just a little bit better. We're going to paint some loose. We're going to get loose tonight, guys. We're going to get loose. We're going to paint some loose watercolor birds. And they're going to be simple and easy. I'm going to use my Koi watercolor set. So it is something that is pretty accessible to everyone. I'm just going to give all my colors and my paint wells a nice little mist. And I'm going to set that over here to the side. So if you've been following me here on the page for any certain amount of time, you know that I have a love for paint, pretty much acrylic, watercolor, and I have just decided this year to really figure out watercolor, and I am having so much fun. So without further ado, we're just going to get moving. I have a piece of paper pre-cut. It's small. Actually, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and use one of these 2 5x7s. And this is Arches. This is the good, really good quality of watercolor paper. And we're going to be working wet on wet tonight, which is, wet paper, wet paint, and do a lot of color blending. And Arches paper, for me, seems to be perfect for that. So as you come on, guys, if you're watching Facebook, please say hi. If you're watching on YouTube, say hi over there as well. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the page because I am up. And that's another thing, if you've been following so far this year, I am on a mission to just make art, my art anyway, accessible. So many of my tutorials are going up on YouTube, and there are plenty more coming. So we'll get back to what we're doing here. I am just going to use, I got some new brushes. So this is a Cotman, Winsor Newton Cotman brush, and it is a size 4. I got some new brushes. Oh my goodness. So this is a Cotman. I think we have some ghosts in the house tonight. Hi, Melanie. Hi, Rose. Sandy from Indiana. Cindy. Hello, everybody. So I just, people look and they say, oh, they're, I think some people are intimidated just to do, because I know I was too. But I'm just learning to have joy in the process. And if it's not perfect, then it's fine. I've learned something from the process. But what we're going to start tonight, and I will just do it here on a separate piece of paper. We're just going to sketch. And you don't need to be able to draw. If you can draw the letter S, you'll be able to do this project tonight. So we're just going to take that letter S and we're going to just drag it out almost flat. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing under it. Now, I did see another artist doing this, her YouTube, and I just wanted to give it a shot. So we're going to do like a rainbow bird, a hummingbird, just a colorful bird. It's not going to be realistic. It's going to be loose and watery and hopefully fun. So if you can make that S, I'll do it again. We're just going to drag that S out kind of flat. And then we're going to do one touching at the top and the bottom. And we're just going to put another S there right kind of under it. All right. And then we can flip it around and do a backwards S. And we'll do the same thing. When I am done, I will link the other artist so you can go watch their tutorial on YouTube as well. I will not take credit for the piece, but I saw her paint it and I thought, I have to try this. So if you can do those S's, they're the shapes of the birds. And we'll see if we can do two. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to really light do that same S curve over here. All right, I hope you can see that. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Sandy. I did say hi to Sandy, but welcome in anyway. Hi, Michelle, my sister. So we're doing two flat S shapes, and we can kind of round them out a little bit. But I don't want you to get stressed about that part of it. Then I'm going to... We got bumped there for a second. I had a little bit of a call coming in, but I'm back. We'll see. Did it come back? We're back. Sorry about that, guys. We got bumped for a couple seconds. Had a call come in. So we have one bird, two bird, little shape. And then for their wings, we're just going to come back here and kind of just do a little V coming off of their back. And they don't have to be exact. Just have fun with it. Wings join in a little bit of a V shape. So, like, that's the stress of drawing, guys. Easy peasy. And my computer is really acting strange. All right. So, with that, now I've got my wet water, guys. I have my clean water, not my wet water. I have special water. It's really wet here. Wet water. And then I have a dirty cup. So I'm going to dip in my wet water here, my clean water. Oh my goodness. And I'm just going to take that number 4 brush, nice and wet with the water. And I am just going to fill in the shape of that little bird that I just drew. Okay. I did not even draw. Oh my goodness. Now the other thing is talking to me. So let's do art. It just seems like nobody wants to let me do my art today. Do you guys have days like that? So I just filled in the little bird. I didn't do it on this one, but I will do it up here. I'm just going to draw in a little circle where I kind of want to put an eye, but it's not a big deal. I can go back after it's dry and add. So my water is drying pretty fast tonight. So I'm just going to put a little bit more water on my bird. Okay. Let me see. Let me pull my paints over. You can see exactly what I'm working with here. This is where the fun part starts. You're just going to pick a color. Pick a few colors. You can use them right out of the wells. You can mix them a bit. You can see here I already have some like turquoise green mixed. I'm just going to use some of that. So I'm going to pick some of that up on my brush. And I'm just going to come over here and drop some of that color here and there. We're going to let the watercolor do what it does best. Okay, let me turn this maybe this way. Let's see, can you guys still see? All right, I think you guys can still see. So then I'm going to come over and I'm going to grab some of this pink. I'm going to throw it up here. I'm going to add a little bit of that pink. And I'm just going to add a little bit of extra water. Okay, so we're just lightening up the color. With watercolor, we don't add white to lighten the color. We lighten with water. So then I can come in here and just drop some of that pink. See how it's like bursting out already? It's fun. I don't even have to clean my brush. I can come grab some of this purple. And when I use purple next to pink, that blends in really, really pretty. So we can fill in. They're like rainbow birds, guys. Have you ever seen a live hummingbird? They almost look like little rainbows with wings. They just have all that shiny, beautiful color. And I'm going to just come in here and grab a little bit of my blue, just light blue there in this is the koi set. I will link so you'll be able to find the koi set. You'll know exactly what I'm using. I'll put the link up as soon as I'm done. Just going to drop some of that blue in there. So we know like blue and red mix to give us purple. We know that blue and purple will kind of complement each other when the colors mix. So really the only thing I'm trying to be mindful of here is to not use like pink right up against green, because then I'm going to get a shade of brown, and I just don't want that on my little rainbow bird. All right, and we're just going to, I'm using my brush with a little bit of water, and I'm just going to let the colors do what colors do. I do want to add a little bit more green to some of that blue. And just let it do what it does. Okay, so that's kind of fun there. That's kind of fun. We can also get, this is what I mean when I say loose. I'm not worrying about details. I'm just being loose with the color, letting it do what it wants. I'm going to take my brush and just kind of scrub in a few spots around the bird and let that color just kind of seep out a little. I don't want it to be perfect, guys. And if I put way too much water on there, look, watch. Grab a paper towel. My brush is not dry, but I'm tapping the water off. Look, I then take that same brush. I can lay it right in the watercolor. Pick it up and tap it off. See how that's getting a little bit muddy because that purple and the green don't mix. So it's going to give us like a muddy color. But it's not a lot, and I don't think it's going to look too bad. But if you get too much water in there and it just starts to get all... That's the number one thing I think people get frustrated with watercolor about, is that things tend to get a little muddy. So I'm just adding on a little bit more blue. But I'm going to leave that bird alone now. And we're going to play with this one at the top. So just like we did for the first one, just plain fresh water. And I'm going to fill that top bird up. Thank you. I saw a heart. Thank you, guys. Again, when I'm done, I will link the original artist that I watched do this because her work is amazing. But I just wanted to try it, and I thought maybe you guys would want to try it too. Tarita, you didn't see me drawing? I'll do it for you again. Give me just 1 second, honey. Don't go anywhere. Michelle, I had a call come in and it bumped me off for a second. I apologize for that. So this is just water. I kind of went out of the lines a little bit, but it's fine. And we're going to go back. So this one's got a lot of blue. And I think this top one, I kind of want to do, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to grab some of my blue. this darker blue, and I'm going to grab just a little bit of this green and just make a nice pretty turquoisey green. I hope you can see that, and I don't think that you can. Turquoisey green. Oh my gosh, I love the hearts, guys. I love you guys so much. So same thing, I'm going to come up here, and the bird is wet. So I'm just going to start dropping and tapping some of that color onto the bird, and that's that turquoise blue green that I just mixed up. Okay. And it's kind of bright. I wasn't expecting to start off with such saturated color right off the bat, but I'm going to roll with it. So I'm cleaning my brush. I'm going to dip into my clean water. I'm going to tap just a little bit of it off because I don't want it it's already wet. So I'm going to put a little bit more water, just tapping over those areas with that clean brush. All it has on it's water. And I'm softening those areas again. See how it just kind of like softened that color up a little bit. Now, a pretty color next to turquoise. We can come back in here and grab some of this pink. We'll come up here and we'll add some water. I just want to lighten this color a bit. Then I'm going to come in and I'm just going to pick a spot and drop some of that pink in. We can darken it up with a tad of red if we really want to. Can add some darker spots. Just think, I mean, those little hummingbirds, they're like little flying rainbows, guys. They're just so pretty. So let's see, what color? Let's throw a tiny little bit of yellow in there. Let's brighten them up with some yellow. And I just went right into my yellow straight up. The yellow might get a little muddy where it hits the pink, or it might go orange, but I put too much. So remember what I'm going to do. I'm going to just clean my brush, fresh, tap it off, and I can use my brush to come in here, and it will soak up some of that excess water and color. All right, and then let's see. Let's grab a tiny little bit of that blue again. And we're just going to add a little bit of blue here. Look for comments. Tarita, they are little hummingbirds, right? They're like little rainbow hummingbirds, but we're not going to stress about perfection. So this one here is starting to dry. It's not all the way dry, but I can then come back in with some of that color and just start to deepen up. Now I know I want to have an eye up here. I'll put that in when it's dry. I can use the watercolor, or I could use some gouache to do that. Okay, so the thing is, like I said, we didn't want to make brown, but now I do want a little bit of brown. So I have some brown here. We can use brown straight out of the palette, but we can also use, when we use two colors that don't complement each other, so they're opposite of each other on the color wheel. So if you guys know color theory at all, we know opposite of green on the color wheel. Rose, thank you for the stars. Oh, Amy, you want a hummingbird tattoo. Oh, God bless you. Well, girlfriend, create your hummingbirds and go get your tattoo. So green, and the opposite of green on the wheel is red. So I can come in here and grab some red. And when I add it to the green, I get like a brownish color. And you can just play with the color, right? So that's kind of a really dark brown. So I want to lighten it up. I'm going to add water. We don't use white to lighten watercolor. We use the white of the paper, the opacity of the paint. That white shines up through the paint to create the light and the dark, the contrasting of the colors. So it's still a little bit wet. I'm going to come here at the tail. I'm going to drop in a little bit of that brown, and I'm going to come up here right at the tip of, now we know that a hummingbird has those really long little beaks that they drink from the flowers with. So I'm going to add those in with this brown that I just made. And because the bird is still a little bit wet in areas, I'm just going to come down here and use my brush, and I'm just kind of lightly use the tip of the brush and kind of move it and flick it up and down a little. And we can create the movement of like some of the feathers. Think about the little hummingbirds out that you see outside. They're kind of flittering. They're hardly still, the poor little things. Then I'm going to use that brown, and I'm just going to come right across that V that we made for the wings on both. And just at the top of the wing, I'm going to lay down some of that brown paint. Now I'm going to clean my brush. And I forgot up here, I'm going to use tap some of the water off, but I'm just going to hit this in certain spots. I want to create that look of that motion, right? So this is what the artist was doing last night. It's giving us that really loose feeling of like the birds moving around so fast, and it just looks really pretty in watercolor. All right, we can grab some color and just kind of throw it in there. We're being loose, so we don't have to worry about perfection here, right? That's the one thing I love about watercolor. It teaches me. Oh, Amy, I'm so happy to hear that. Watercolor teaches me that I need to give up control, because you can only control, just like life, you can only control watercolor just so much. All right, so right under that brown, I'm going to add a little with the side of the brush. I'm just going to wet the paper a little bit, and then I'm going to decide what color do I want to use. So I'm going to use some of that pink. It might be, I can add a little bit more water to loosen that color, make it a little lighter. And then I'm just going to put a strip of pink right there under that brown line. And if I want it darker, I can come right in with more saturated color and just let it do what it's going to do. All right, I can come up here, and I know I did not put water under this one yet, but it's okay. Now I can clean my brush, just grab a little bit of fresh water and come in and add that water. And I'm just kind of running my brush back and forth here to give that look of a wing, and the wing is moving right at high speeds. Okay, you can tap in a little bit of another color. See how this is just, you're getting the gist that it's a hummingbird, but it doesn't have to be realistic in order to know that it's a hummingbird. So I'm going to lay some water underneath of this brown on this birdie up here, and just kind of like a little triangle there. See it? And on this one, we'll use some of the turquoise for the wing on this one. And let's grab, we're just going to use a tiny bit of pink in there too. Let the colors burst and do their thing. So we're going to leave that alone for a minute. Now I'm going to come down here again and grab some of that turquoise on my brush. I'm going to dip in a little bit of that brown. So do I have an extra piece of paper? I can show you the color. It's going to look like a brown that has turquoise in it. We're not going to use a lot of it. But now that this bird is pretty much dry, I'm going to come in now, and I'm just going to I'm going to hold the brush straight up and just kind of do straight little lines, moving my hand like this. Okay, so we're just going to create the look of like some little feathers. There's movement. We can pull them out of the bird. We can just go around. We're just going to put a little bit of feathered movements in there. And I'm going fast. I'm not worried about perfection. We can darken up a little bit with the brown certain areas to make the bird a little more defined. But we don't want to, I tend to get too crazy. I like realism and this kind of watercolor I struggle with. I struggle with just letting things alone and letting it do its thing. But honestly, that's the beauty of it. So I'm going to come back up here a little bit, and I want to see if I can soften that red dot that I made. I don't like it. It might muddy the colors a little bit, but I think we'll be okay. And I'm going to just water on my brush. I want to pull that color of the wing out even a little bit more soft there. See how the wing just kind of fades? It fades into the paper. But we're not worrying. We're not making it perfect. So I'm going to do the same up here with that little bird. I'm going to grab some of my turquoise and a little touch of the brown. She's pretty dry. And I'm going to just darken up certain areas around the bird. I'm going to add in some little flicks, just little lines that kind of give me the look of like feathers. Go over. You can do this with color. But I'm just defining some of the shape of the bird a little bit better. There we go. Do it under here. We can pull it out some. Do some inside. What do you guys think of this? Think so far? Something you think you guys can do? Rose, I knew you'd love it, girls. You got to try this. You got to try this. And if you really, really, really want me to give you a sketch, a tracer, just let me know. You know I'm pretty easy. I can't say no to you guys. So now that my wings are dry, I'm going to come back in now. I did pink here, so I'm going to use some of that really saturated pink. So I'm just darkening up my bit of pink here. I don't want a ton of water on it, so I'm just going to tap it lightly. Then all I'm going to do here now is start up at the top of the wing and pull out. I am creating that movement of the wing, okay? You can vary your stroke. So I'm just pulling through, I'm pulling out to make it look like the feathers. I probably didn't even need that many. Right? So we're just creating. And up here, I'm going to clean my brush. My daughter's in there sighing heavily. She said to me last night, Mom, if I sigh, just ignore me, because she said she read that that's a great way to get rid of anxiety. And I said, well, if that's how you want to rid yourself of anxiety, you sigh away. Mom's way of ridding anxiety is right here with the paint on the paintbrush. So whatever works for you, chickadee. But she's in there sighing heavily. So I'm just pulling out some just lines that kind of, to me, like look like the feathers of the bird's wing. So I want to just hold still and see if we can get a clearer picture of that so you guys can see it. It kind of almost looks like a little dragon, this one. I'm just going to come in with some water here and there. I wanted this nice and loose, guys. So, and don't worry, I'm not ruining the piece. I'm not ruining the piece, but I'm just putting some color. That was way too dark. So we'll just grab some water and pull that around the page. Get some purple fresh water. We can lighten that. We can lift some of it off if it gets too light, just too dark, lift it off. I didn't think I was going to like that, but it's, remember, watercolor gets lighter as it dries. So we'll just add a little splotch here of that color. I'm just dragging my brush around. So hold on just a second. I'm going to dry it. We'll put the eyes in. And I think that's when it really comes to life. So guys, let me know. Hit that like button if you like this. Hit that hearts. Make sure that you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for all the new tutorials that will be loading in there. Thank you guys. I just want to make sure we're nice and dry. Now she added loose flowers. You guys got to let me know. Do you think we need some loose flowers on the page, or should we let the birds just stand alone here? Should we add some loose little florals? You guys got to let me know. Those of you watching live, you need to let me know below if we need to add some flowers. So I'm just picking up black. Okay, and I'm just going to mix that in here with some of my blue. I'm going to lighten it up just a tad. Oh, let's see if I can. Ooh, it's not going to let me on StreamYard zoom in. Oh, well, let's see. I think you'll be able to see it. So we're just going to come in, and we want to make sure the only thing with the eyes is to try to remember to leave a tiny little bit of white in the eye so that it has life, right? Can you see that little tiny bit of white? Yeah, you got it. All right, and you guys can mix up your colors. I mean, I think next time I'm going to do a lot more purple and pink. So I'm going to put the eye here on this one, little circle. I'm going to fill this one all the way in because, you know what, I'm just going to fix this one. We'll just fill that one. I'm just going to fill it all the way in, and I'm going to hit it again really quick because I think you guys, if you don't know, because I didn't know, I'm going to show you how that you can add and fix like a little mistake like that using gouache. So don't go anywhere. And dry the eye. Thank you for the heart. Thank you guys for all the love. Hi, Sandy. Thank you. I'm so glad you liked it. I will say again, this is not my idea per se. I saw another artist do a tutorial on these loose birds, and I just so wanted to give it a try. Now, my tutorial, my birds, I don't think, of course, look near as good as her birds. So you guys, I will put that information in as soon as we're done, and you guys can check out her birds as well. She's amazing artist. So let me see if I can find my white gouache here. And we are live, so nothing will. You can also use acrylic paint. I don't want you to think like, if you make a mistake with watercolor and forget like I did to do an eye, and I'm just using Artist Loft brand gouache. Gouache is kind of like a mix between acrylic and watercolor. It will reactivate, and as soon as you get it wet, it will reactivate much like a watercolor, and then it will dry. But enough of that. All right, let me get my brush again. And I'm going to take the lazy way out. I'm just going to dip the tip of my brush in there and pick up some of that white gouache paint. you don't have gouache and you want to try this, don't worry about it. Just use a little tiny bit of your acrylic, because all we're doing is going in and putting the highlight in the eye. Now I like one big one and two little ones like I did just there. And on this one I just had one. So I'm just going to dip just the very tippy of my brush and add another little highlight there. Right? So now, I mean, you can kind of tell it's a hummingbird. So what did you guys think? Do we need to add a few little loose flowers to this? Or are we letting the birds speak for themselves? I don't see any comments. So I'm going to assume that we should leave the birds the way they are. I'll hang out just for a minute. Guys, let me know. Yes or no? Yes or no? Should we do a few little watercolor flowers or just leave it as it is? You know, I could have made this bird a little bit fatter. Now that it's dry, I could go back in. I could go back into my purple there and add a little bit more of the purple color, right? So once it's dry, you can then glaze color over top of it, and you can just add a little bit more color. I can make her look a little bit chunkier. Can bring some of that purple down, right? That might have been a little bit too much. But all is not lost with this kind of painting, right? So she's cute. I want to just keep working. I want to keep adding. Now I want to add a little bit more pink to her. We're brightening her up. Yes, add some flowers. All right. All right, Krista and Sandy are yes on the flowers, so I think that that is what we are going to do. Drop some water there. Let that mix just a bit together. Let's see. A tiny touch of blue. But you see what I mean? You just pick colors that you like. Like this one up here's got a lot of blue and yellow. But see here where the color mixed and it got a little bit muddy? It's okay. It's okay. I don't particularly, wasn't exactly what I was going for. But I can come up here with some of the stronger color and kind of glaze that color over, hopefully. But we're having fun tonight. All right. So we'll go back into our brown. I haven't switched brushes at all. We've done this entire painting with the size 4, the Winsor & Newton Cotton watercolor brush. I just picked up a few new brushes, and I am happy with them so far. So, all right, we'll just come up in here and we'll just do like a stem for some flowers, and I'll just do like one stem coming in from that side. Now for the flowers, I watched her do last night, and she used like a reddish pink, so I'm just going to use my pink. She just then laid the brush down and just wiggled it and added in a few spots that would kind of just give the impression of flowers. And you guys can't tell me that you can't do that. All right. No one can tell me that they can't do that. So then I'm going to go back. I can come back and do that on the one side, just a little bit skinnier. And I can do another one kind of right next to it. Look, I'm just using the side of my brush and I'm laying it and I'm pulling it in, because they don't have to look like perfect little flowers. We're just giving the impression of some flowers in the garden that the birds are flitting around. Okay, so that's it for putting some flowers. Now some leaves. My thing is a bit of a mess. Let's see, we'll just use that green. I'm going to grab some of my bright leaf green. I'm going to add it right to that dark green that I have there in the paint well. And I'm going to grab some fresh water and just put it on there. For the flowers, all right, I'm just going to put the tip of the brush down, tip of the brush, pull back, press, and pull back. Now, because this paper is very textured, if you don't have a lot of water on your brush, you'll get that watercolored look. I mean, that dry brushed look. So if you want it wetter, just add some more water to your brush. So tap, press, pull, and lift. Tap, pull. All right, you're going to press and pull back up. We're putting the tip down. Here we go. Watch. Tip down. Pull back towards yourself. Press down on that brush. Lift straight up again. And then lift up on the tip. So that gives us our little leaves. Let's do a couple over here. Tip of the brush down. Pull over. Press. Pull. As you're lifting, come back to the tip of the brush. And you've got a leaf. And you can just add a few of those in. Okay. So we'll put one up here. And then to really finish this off in true fun watercolor style, get some pretty watery watercolor paint here on your brush. Take the side of your hand. This is how I do it. You can tap it on another brush. And you're just going to tap, 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 and add some of those fun watercolor drops. Okay, so I'll hold it up. You can see where the little drops of watercolor went on the page. When it's dry, get in there with your pen. I am horrible at this, and I get yelled at all the time by my fellow artists that I want to get in there and I want to sign my work. So don't forget to do that. I'm awful at that. So there is our little rainbow birds, hummingbirds, fun little loose watercolor. Thank you, Michelle. Guys, please make sure that you're following me here on the page. If you would like tutorials, please make sure you're following me and subscribed over on YouTube. I am at Kimberly Sminky on YouTube. All of my tutorials are slowly releasing over there, along with the older ones and some new ones. So if you don't want to miss them, you need to be subscribed over there and following me here on the page. Thank you, Krista. Sandy, thank you. Crystal, you're late to the party. Yep, you're going to have to watch the replay, sister. These were fun. These were fun. If you missed the sketching of the birds in the beginning, go back and watch. But really, honestly, all you need to know how to do is make the letter S and a backwards S and straighten them out. That's how we drew our birds, right? That's the backwards one. That's how we made our birds, and then a little V for the wings. Very simple. Drop in colors. Get loosey-goosey with it. Have some fun. And please let me know. Tag me in your work if you try this. I want to be able to come and see. I love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. And I will see you next Wednesday, if not before. Good night, everyone.